Yeah, he said. Hello, Mr.
Chris, can we hear you? Can you guys hear us online there?
I can hear you fine.
Awesome, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Okay, so if you pick up the speaker during this meeting, hold it from this top. I think what happened last time is a thumb hit that volume down button. Because
Gotcha.
it worked at the beginning on me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
Hi, Tex.
great. All right, I'd like to call the meeting order.
It is 5:31.
31. And we're all set? Okay, great. Is there any additions or deletions to our agenda?
I have nothing.
I have nothing either. Let us approval of the minutes for July 22nd.
I will make a motion to approve them as written.
Great, I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let us move on to Mr. Klucher for our morning road, our afternoon road. I'm somewhere else.
Culverts on West Road are all in, we've got one more driveway culvert gonna be tomorrow. And the two I gotta add, haven't yet.
Okay. Have you heard about anything from FEMA or anything else?
There's no money,
None. Okay.
so we'll have to take that out of the capital road.
Well, we have emergency reserve fund.
Yeah, which I got two people that have concerns, which I understand their concerns. And one is Tommy Saltic, right by the town garage, his water from over there.
Okay.
And, you know, there's another 4-foot culvert there to add. And Dougie Dow's down on East Road, which I know that's been a problem. And we tried ditching down through there, but it's so flat, we can't get the water run.
Okay.
So what they suggested is add another 5-foot culvert there. You know?
Yeah.
And I already had to turn the paving guys away. So it'll be a couple weeks before they come back to pave all these.
Yeah. Gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. You know, there's nothing around it. And how many culverts do you think you put in from the storm?
This storm, we did that 6-footer, 50 feet long. We had a 42 by 60, and we added another 20 feet to that 5-foot one. I mean, the problem is some big culverts aren't cheap.
No, I know.
They're not.
I know. And well, you know, the plastic ones and the other fiber, whatever those.
The biggest one I could get for the one on
West Road?
West Road, it had to be 6 foot, I had to get steel. And you can see that we put it all in this one piece.
Yeah.
Now we put it together on land and carried, and Kevin Sullivan's excavator carried it down the side of the lake.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what came out of there.
well, that's a good thing you got rid of it.
And then this is the one we added on down by Cindy's.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks for all the work you guys are doing. So it's
Yeah, and
been
then plus
so
you had all
much.
the other down branches and everything else.
Oh, I got the end of the water now. And God knows I can't get where we usually dump our brush, so I'll say, Travis, we're gonna let me dump up some stump dump.
Oh, and the stump dump? All right, well,
Awesome.
when I
That's
see
great.
Chris, I'll thank you.
Cause I need both trucks.
Yeah, you did, yeah. All right,
And then the excavator one, Addison, Redentor, when else we broke a track. So Ferrisford brought theirs over. You could use that to get it done.
yeah,
I mean, we still had it done by noon.
yeah, I know that, it was great work. So do you think you can get that track fixed on that thing, or?
I got all the parts today for it.
Awesome.
So it's just a matter of putting it together, but
Okay,
we're trying to go in between. I mean,
I know.
backhoe worked all day today.
yeah, I bet.
We tried getting some roadside mowing done so people could see around corners.
Yeah, I saw that when they were out there, yeah. Well, I know that I speak for the town and for the board that we really appreciate the hard
But I
work
mean,
and
Friday
dedication.
Friday night was a joke out there.
Yeah.
And Saturday morning, I got up early, I couldn't believe how much more we're down.
Yeah, you know,
It was crazy.
yeah, I saw Paula saw you driving around at 8 o'clock when she was doing the garden.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was just finishing up,
yeah,
because I mean, forest developers came out and they were pushing trees off, as well as I was.
oh, really?
That's great.
Okay, good, yeah,
Excellent.
thank you.
So, you want me to order the culverts we need and
Well, you gotta do it, wait, go ahead. Miss McCormick might have,
Current billing to date, $52,000.
we get 7,000?
That includes the 16 for current total.
okay, let me ask this question, can we order the culverts that we need?
Depends what reserve funds you want to deplete, right? Because 52 will kill the capital project, I believe.
Like I said, there's 118
Okay, so-
in there.
Okay, I'll have to look again. If I have
That's
it.
what you told me. anyway.
Okay, so yeah, if we had that conversation, sorry. So-
I didn't know that was an emergency fund.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is an emergency fund, so you're good then. So how much more culverts? I mean, so I guess you've got, you know,
I'll try to add
50K more to spend out of there if you want that down to 0.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, you're telling me we need to get this stuff done, correct?
You're right, make it stop
Right?
storms.
Okay, well, I don't,
We kind of have to do it.
well, Teresa doesn't have that power yet.
Well, I think some of them we can wait on.
Well,
Budget for them next year.
Well, you know, if they're crummy culverts and the rusted
Well,
out,
they're not, they're plastic ones,
I'm talking the ones that are in the ground.
but yeah, them are all done.
Well, then,
I think we have to move them out and put them in an order of priority. Everything that needs to be done, worst case is the first thing we do
Yeah,
and work
I
our
just
way.
don't want these two people think I'm ignoring
Of course not.
no,
Yeah,
I understand.
well, we know that you're not ignoring anybody, so.
And well, you need to
Awful lot.
prioritize what needs to be done.
Yeah.
You do a good job on that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, no, we trust you on that.
As long as, you know, you two coordinate with your finances and make sure that we can afford to buy the stuff we need to buy.
And the other thing I got for you guys is, 27, you can add another 25,000 for a truck. Because of the new emission thing they gotta meet.
The year 2020.
Yeah,
But, if you don't order one next year.
Right, okay, so 2027.
I asked the truck dealerships to come down and explain that to you guys, so you get to hear it from them too.
Okay,
Because I don't want me to, I don't want to tell you that and have something change.
okay,
Yeah,
no, that's fair, I appreciate that, yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of trucks, where's your new dump truck coming? The
It's on the
little-
way.
It's on the way.
Oh,
When do you
cool.
think you'll get it?
I don't know. Right now, I
Wait,
don't have
what?
time
Oh,
to
the
change it.
pickup.
The new
When
pickup,
you said
yes.
dump, I'm like, we had that for 3 months. It's just scary.
Yes, we bought 6 of them.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Awesome,
all right.
thanks for all that hard work.
Thanks, and thanks for doing it, and, make sure you thank Jeff for us,
Yeah,
and
for
doing
sure.
all the time and stuff. And we'll get back to you.
I mean, these other towns have been great.
So, well,
Lucky.
if you see those road runners, make sure that you express that our thanks to them. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, have a good night. Okay. Let us move on from that.
See.
Yes, EMC. All right. Oh, yes.
The recovery issues and documentation is going to be presented at the next REMC, which is Wednesday, which is the county emergency management team from each town. We're going to discuss what's going on there and see if we can do any synergy between all of us, so you always use all the big words like that.
Great.
So, see what happens. I'm still attending the EMD recovery update meetings on Mondays and Wednesdays, and the monthly VLCT meetings. Mostly it's regarding the debris and damage issues that are going on, and assessments from the other towns have really taken some massive hits.
On our blessings.
Yeah,
We'll post on one of the front porch forum on local conditions and road and the weather, and keep an eye on the weather, because this wasn't the last of it, we're gonna see more of it. And somehow or another, we got lucky this past storm, we didn't have much of a power outage, I think we just had a real quick hit at my house, and otherwise it stayed up, and almost everybody around us went down.
Oh, yeah, Basin Harbor's still recovering.
So, and somebody asked me, does GMP have any thoughts about burying the power lines so trees don't fall on? And I said, well, as soon as they hit the lottery.
Yeah, right.
So.
Yeah.
And then, to follow up on what, Rick was saying, today they were in the meeting, they were talking about at the state, they're talking about FEMA's almost out of money until Congress ups their money.
Yeah.
So they're on what they call immediate needs right now. Which means that they'll only put stuff out has a hazard that's immediate to life-threatening things right now. Otherwise, everything else is kind of on the shelf.
Okay.
That's from.
Is there any, excuse me, Bob, but is there any chance that Addison County is going to meet the threshold for the?
They think we've hit the number and they put it into FEMA, but with the way things are with the money right now.
And the way that's moving there, it's going to be, slow and steady.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're looking into what it means for us, but until they come down and say, yeah, okay, we're gonna do it. The 3 counties that were really nasty, hit really hard, I think were Orange, Essex, and the other one I can't remember right now. I think they did get approved, and the rest of the counties that did meet, but still haven't been put it up yet, so.
Yeah.
And the state EOC is still activated, so if there are other issues that they're still operational, so get a hold of them if they need to.
Okay.
Hey Maggie, somebody's in the waiting room.
That's it for me.
All right, Bob, I want to say this, thank you for keeping the citizens of our 5 towns abreast and working especially with Rick on these items. I mean, it's really beneficial to him because just conveying it to you and then you just doing your thing and just putting it out there, really reduces his stress of getting all these things done. So
Yeah.
it is really beneficial. And I know I'm speaking for Tracy
Absolutely.
and I that we
And-
really
and-
appreciate your hard work and dedication. So thank you.
Thank you much.
Okay, let us move on to meeting room stuff.
At the recommendation of our IT people, I contacted 2 companies. One is Audio Visual Environments, came last Wednesday. Before that was a week before was a guy from Buzz. He came up there and said, yep, it's a really large room. He suggested acoustic panels. I said, well, can you make us some proposals? He said, well, in my experience, when people don't know what they're looking for, I make a proposal and I've wasted a lot of time, basically. So I said, we asked me for a rough budget number. I said $2,500. He sent me an email within a week that said the lowest possible thing is double that. So this gentleman came in, also suggested acoustic panels. You will see here that he has one microphone solution at the front of this, which is $3,600.
That's a passer on mic.
What's that?
It's a passer.
Yeah, and I think he's spec 4 of them. And then he's waiting for acoustic panels estimates from 3 companies, and then you see his back page is a ceiling mic that would eliminate the need for any other stuff, but that's $9,000. So.
We can think about that for a little while.
Yeah.
You were talking about a mic, is that a mic for the Zoomies that were in here? People that are in here.
Here, so that it would be, have more pickups. Like there'd be a mic here, there'd be a mic there, there'd be a mic here, there'd be a pass.
So we could hear what you guys were saying and
they
Zoom people could hear us.
Yes. So all we have is this right here, and this was our initial setup in COVID. So we could run the city or the town with that because we were all from a distance.
I just wanted a clarification. You were talking about one mic. I'm going.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, the second proposal
Well,
is,
yeah, it's the 9,000 millimeter ceiling is multi-directional and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to learn everything there is to know about sound, so. And our IT company says that we can daisy chain up to 5 of these. They're about $300 each, so I haven't gone that route yet,
Okay.
but we can discuss it, and I really want, when I've taken a minute to look at them on Amazon, it's not immediately apparent to me that they can be daisy chained, so I'm not jumping that gun yet. They should work on Bluetooth, but
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that, so.
All right, okay, let us move on to our accounting discussion. Come on down, Melissa. If you would, please.
Hello. As you know, this is my favorite thing to do, so.
We appreciate it.
I appreciate your list. Yes.
So, I have like 4 topics that I'm gonna talk about.
Okay,
The first one, isn't necessarily the accounting, it's just something as I've been going through the minutes over the last 4 years and all the town reports. There's, the vital records report in the town, that we put in the town report that has the births. Back in 2018, the state of Vermont signed a law changing the way that people get birth certificates and such. And it says, town clerks or auditors may publish in the annual town report non-confidential information and statistics concerning births. Basically, we're not supposed to be putting confidential information out there, such as birth dates and stuff, and we still are.
okay,
Other towns, I've seen their reports, and they put a chart that says this year, 2 births, 1 death, or whatever. And so I would like to suggest that
okay,
we do that because it's identity theft and privacy issues.
I got it, exactly, especially on death and stuff like that.
Actually births, using somebody's birth dates and names and
And then
knowing what their mom's
getting the-
names might be.
Yeah, and social security
All
number,
those
got it,
passwords that
Okay.
we used.
got that,
Gotcha.
all right,
The
Thank
second
you.
one- The second one is regarding the new microphone, that you do have IT funds in the digitization,
mm-hmm,
that you changed the name to an IT fund as well.
right, exactly,
And I believe there's money in there
right,
that could be used.
okay,
Cool.
yay,
The next one is regards to, which is later on the agenda, you have setting the tax rate. And I want to bring your attention to the town report where we voted on the articles. So Article 4 is incorrect because, so there's 3 aspects to, there's 3 articles that we vote on that affect our budget. One is what we put in the reserve funds, what we put into the appropriations for charitable organizations,
mhm,
and then there's the proposed budget number. Those 3 together came to $1,039,943. Although our town budget, the vote has, Article 4 has the total, plus the reserve fund is Article 3. Article 5 is the appropriation. So if we add those together, the town has voted to approve an amount of 1.129844, 1,129,000. So I think we have to, you board have to figure out, are you going to take the grand list and spread it across what the voters actually voted or what you meant for it to be? And I don't know if you can do that. That's something VLCT would have to probably address.
mhm,
Do you want me to show you where it is?
yeah, that would be helpful to both of us.
Come over there.
I agree, Melissa.
Okay, here's,
Page 3,
yep, here's Article 3 is the 76.5. Article 4 here, this is the total from the back budget I can show you, but
Yeah.
this number should have been 950,042
Mhm.
Okay.
plus this, plus the 13,401.
Uh-huh,
The difference is this article and this article.
Okay,
So
so it's added
you're
twice.
89,901 high in the vote on number 4, Article 4.
mhm.
So I think before you set the tax rate, you have to decide that, what to do about that.
Okay,
And at the current, what was expected to be used, just for the record, so everyone knows that that's an increase of 32.9% over the year before.
mhm.
And if you go with the higher amount, that's the town increase of 44.4% in the taxes that need to be collected this year.
Mhm.
All right, so those are,
It's kind of a
the-
bite, yeah.
yeah, that's the, those are the 3 things I wanted to say before
Okay,
the, my other topics.
okay, just one, because it's not exactly the same. On page 3, when you said 3.
Oh, but this is, oh, this
Oh,
is,
it starts-
this is,
Oh, that's one.
this is
That's one.
2022, that's why.
This would be same color, but different.
Oh, sorry. Okay, go ahead.
All right. This one's hard for me, and I just want to, I'll just start. I'm in a unique position, having been the town treasurer, and I was a past CPA to speak on the topic of financial accountability.
Okay,
I'm gonna read because I need to stay on task.
all righty.
Most towns in Vermont, they elect the treasurer from its citizen base. Not every small town has a citizen willing to first take on the duties, or second, have the skills to perform the requirements of the position. In these cases, the select board can justify hiring more professional services to fill the skill gap. Back in 2014, Canton voted to amend its charter to change the clerk, the treasurer, and the delinquent tax collector from elected to appointed positions in order to expand the candidate pool to include non-residents with the skills required to do the job without substantial assistance. This change was something that I personally brought to the board leading up to and during my time as the treasurer. The 2014 Select Board report section that was in the town report, March of 2015, says they worked with the Vermont legislature to pass Canton Town Charter, transition to appointed positions for treasurer, clerk, and delinquent tax collector, created job descriptions for each, expanding the geographic network from which we can draw future candidates, reducing the risk by separating out the clerk and treasurer roles and providing clear process for feedback and review. And note that the treasurer is first an officer of the town, and the charter does not change that or absolve them from their duties. During my time as treasurer and up through the previous treasurer, per the select board minutes, which I took all my data from select board minutes, town reports. During my time as the treasurer, we presented financial reports to the select board once a month. I can't verify the content of the information presented from the minutes, but the process is to inform the board on the status of the budget they're charged with managing. In fact, Vermont statute 24 VSA 1571 states, the town treasurer shall file quarterly reports with the legislative body, which is the select board, regarding his or her actions set forth in subsections A and B, which is telling them how to keep the accounts of the money. In addition, it says the town treasurer shall annually on or before June 30th complete and provide to the select board a copy of the document made available by the auditor of accounts, which is the internal financial controls checklist. When I read through the minutes, the last 2 fiscal years, there is only one mention of a financial report presentation on July 10th of 2023. This is the first mention of financial reporting to the board for the entire fiscal year 23 activity and happened after the year ended when no action could be taken by the board. Regarding the fiscal year 24 budget year, there were no financial reports presented by the treasurer recorded in the minutes. There is an outside audit reports created after the year ends, but these do not qualify as treasurer's reports. They are the outside auditor's review of the records. There has been a 2-year running deficit of the operating portion of the unassigned fund balance. As of June 30th, 23, the amount was a negative $28,499. This amount is not inclusive of the $57,050 emergency fund, which has specific conditions required to be met before use, although the auditors have combined them through the report. And here's just an example of one thing that I looked at that I wondered if you were aware of. There are consequences from not having accurate and timely information. I offer this example. Were you made aware that at the end of fiscal year 23 that the ARPA funds were overspent by $5,376, which the auditors then reclassed money from the general operating fund to cover? In fiscal year 24, which just ended, $8,900 to paint the town hall, which was originally authorized. 10/10 of 22 to be paid from ARPA funds was completed and paid August 23rd, which is fiscal year 24. But there's no money in there. The funds to cover this expense will have to come out of the general fund budget. A select board vote could have been made to use the building fund reserve, a building maintenance reserve fund at the time of payment if you were made aware that the fund was already spent down. My review of the minutes doesn't show this happened. As of August 24th of 2015, treasurers are required to complete the internal control checklist, which is what I just read up earlier. And I can tell you that in the last 4 years, there has not been an internal control checklist in the minutes that has been presented to the board that I'm aware of. But I know that it's something that needs to happen, and Diane, our previous treasurer after me, can confirm that she did indeed offer that to the select board each year. Regarding the internal controls, well, here's some of the things that this checklist asks. Does the town have written policies and procedures for financial operations? Have you attended trainings on record keeping? Are checks written by the same individual who approves payments? Are bank accounts and fund balances reconciled on a monthly basis? And there's a whole bunch of other stuff, and this is so the select board knows. And regarding those internal controls, I've witnessed the accounts payable warrant placed in front of the board at a meeting as a piece of paper without the actual bills available to be reviewed and compared to the list presented. Basically, the treasurer is receiving, approving, and paying bills without review by another individual. I've been told by that the highway department bills coming directly to the office are not presented for approval to the road foreman. The minutes from a meeting with the outside auditors of January 9th of 23 stated the auditors have seen 2 fraud cases in the last year and want to remind the select board that it's their responsibility to monitor finances. And if we talk about the audit reports for the last 3 years, there has been a schedule of findings and deficiencies in internal controls. They are material weaknesses and significant deficiencies, which says internal weaknesses is deficiency or combination of deficiencies in internal control such that there is reasonable possibility that a material misstatement of the entity's financial statements will not be prevented or detected and corrected on a timely basis. A deficiency or a combination of deficiencies in internal control that is less severe is a significant deficiency, yet important enough to merit attention by those charged with governance. There's no, so when the audit, let's see, sorry, I didn't get myself back together here. The auditors came February 22nd of 22. They said to the select board, according to the minutes, that there were material weaknesses that the auditors found in the accounting functions, and that the clerk anticipated having all accounts up to date by mid-March. Yet there's no evidence that this was resolved because it happens again the next year. It happened 3 years, basically. This last year, it said in the town report, it says here, management's response was, we agree with the findings of the independent auditor. The town will update its procedures to reconcile its liability accounts. But I don't see that it's been implemented anywhere. All right, so I have two questions and then I want to conclude is that only one financial report to the board for the last 2 fiscal year budgets. No internal control checklist submitted to the board each year by June 30th for 4 years. 3 years of auditors' notification of materials or significant deficiencies on reconciling the liabilities. Even if you receive financial reports, their accuracy could not be depended on given these deficiencies, and there's been no follow-up from the board to address the issue. I would like to know what is the plan for this fiscal year to reduce the deficit carryover and to monitor the current spending. And I want to know who's watching the budget. And I want to know, do you feel you've been given the information you need to make informed decisions? That was a lot of information, I know, but this is something that, we talked earlier back in April, and I haven't let it go, but I would love to let it go.
Would you mind repeating the questions for me? Because you read them quickly and I didn't have a chance to process them. I apologize.
No worries.
It's okay. Take your time.
I think I got 2 of them.
I can't get it done, there we go. What's the plan this fiscal year to reduce the deficit carryover and to monitor the current spending?
Okay.
And do you feel you've been given the information you need to make informed decisions? And I can give another example of just right now on when you were talking about using the emergency funds for the culverts. It says that any use of reserve funds in the statute says that it needs to be made on an agenda so other townspeople know you're about to use it so they can have their input in it. So to do it like this, I don't know, and please check. Can you just at a meeting that hasn't been warned, spend the money in a reserve fund?
Okay, that's a great question.
I remember, because I was on the board when we developed that emergency reserve fund.
Yeah.
Because we had a surplus of money. And instead of doing something completely different, we determined to make this emergency reserve fund because after Irene, we had no money.
That was me. I was the one that did that because I was the treasurer at the time of those. But maybe when Irene came through in 2000.
When Irene came through, we had no money and we had to beg to solve the issue. And from my experience in the community I worked for, we had 10 to 20% reserve fund of the yearly budget, just in case you had some kind of form of disaster or you needed to purchase something. And my idea was that if I blew up an engine on the backhoe or something like that, where am I gonna get $50,000 other than going to a bank and begging them to give it to me at 6%? If we had some form of emergency reserve fund, we can then do that. But it wasn't for day-to-day activities or thought process on those things. It was for strictly like, these were non-budgeted items that came up from some form of any kind of a disaster of, let's say, a blown up engine to needing culverts or needing something to cover things that we didn't actually plan for budgetary items that would put them a miss on our budget saying, oh, we're gonna take this $75,000 out of the paving budget, and then now we're behind in paving because we, robbed Peter to pay Paul, and if we had this fund, we could then actually.
I think it's a
take that.
good question though, for
What?
VLCT, just to make sure that, make sure that the process is correct. So I think that's a
Yeah.
really
The
good question for
emergency fund,
VLCT.
right. I do have when the emergency fund was set up in county in 2015, that was an emergency fund, but not the highway capital project. But I think that's what you're talking about, right?
No, the emergency reserve
You
fund.
want to use the 57, what's in the 57,000, that fund?
If that was a non-budgeted items that we had, and we're hoping to get FEMA money for it, but we will have bills coming in from the people we're purchasing culverts for, so hopefully we could sit there and pay our people that we owe money to, and then hopefully FEMA comes back and says, you expended this and this and this, and we're going to give you this money, and then we can replenish our fund. That's the envision of it. I don't know if that's going to work.
I mean, we always have a budget for, like, as you know, things like culverts and different, road projects, but with the flooding,
Yeah,
I
we'll-
understand
it's,
that. No, I'm
so,
We
just
do-
saying that.
but yeah.
That it has to be, so. The select board has drafted a reserve policy outlining how it would be used. This is the emergency fund. To access the reserve fund, the select board would have to vote at a warned select board meeting wanting to dip into or use the reserve fund and warn this as a select board meeting agenda, giving notice to town residents.
Okay, so that would mean that, so today we come in and Ricky tells us that we need these culverts, we can't vote until next time on it, right? Is that what you're saying?
I think.
That's what I think
Okay.
on the reserve.
Okay.
And I
I
think
think
what
that's a great question.
the process is, he's telling us we need culverts, more culverts, and we need the 6-foot culvert. He's going to purchase those because we have to open up the road no matter what. So it's gonna come out of this fund, his highway budget fund, or some fund to cover those expenses. It might not come out of an emergency reserve fund. So I guess the question is, and I would probably say, on our error, we haven't actually put it on the agenda saying we're going to actually vote on money moving these dollars to there. Because again, the whole envision of this emergency fund was, we just didn't want somebody on the select board in the future say, oh, everybody needs a hat.
I know,
Let's
I
go.
have to say, this is what happened when I was on, we had the flood when Lake Champlain went up to 103. And so I asked the board back then, and that's how these things started, that's what started rolling the whole emergency fund as well with Beth
Okay.
Ferrello to see if we could get this, so we weren't constantly broke
Right,
and in the
Exactly.
negative. So
yeah.
that's what I have,
agree with you.
that's what I have to present.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you,
Thank you.
Melissa.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, moving on to the voter petition for the ballot question on this solar development.
So we are going to, correct me if I'm wrong, the discussion we had was to get help making sure that we have a good question, a non-binding referendum question for on town meeting day. I mean, sorry, not town meeting day, on election day in November,
November 5th.
to gather this survey data from which the Canton Select Board will create its position based on the data. Is that
Correct.
where we got to?
After talking to, what's her name, our attorney, I had a conversation with her on Friday, and she was going to develop language for us for the ballot and get that prepared for. Up or down vote on this, non-binding, and it would be just basically, somewhere in, I would say this is not the technical language. Do you want this? Yes. Do you want this? No.
Yeah, and I wonder, and I think in terms of just information, I was thinking that we should put together a fact sheet about like what this would mean, both pros and cons for it, so that people who haven't been to the meetings, haven't been able to go to things, all the people who are registered voters or landowners or however we want to do that, put together some sort of information sheet and explain that this is being voted on as a non-binding referendum, but that we're trying to get as many people's opinion on it as possible.
And with the real issue of this thing, just because the town of Canton has suggested this, that they, let's say hypothetically, don't want it, and it goes to the PUC, meaning the Public Utility Commission.
Right.
The Public Commission would then hear it, and then people would get to have some opinions, and the town would have a position with our attorney to make this decision, and the PUC would say, those are great stories, but they're still gonna build it.
And they may do that, but I think for us to
Right.
develop a position as a town, I think the best way to do that is by counting the ballots.
Well, I agree with that.
And I think that the
and
best thing
I
we
don't
can
think
do
that's a
for
debate
people who
on
haven't
that.
been here is to create a fact sheet.
Yeah, and so the real question is, that could happen, but then even if the PUC says, no, you can't build it, that doesn't hold back the developer to sit there and take it to the state Supreme Court.
Right.
And that comes into questions of dollars and expenses, and how much do you have to spend on this?
Right.
Because it could be a lot.
I mean, yeah, I agree, 100%. I mean, that's the information that we've gotten, is that no matter what our position is that if the
We're-
PUC says
we're in the back-
we're building it, then.
We're in the backseat of the getaway car.
Right.
And we're not driving. So
Right.
we never
So,
are.
so we are gonna do this, and do you know what the deadline for the ballot is?
August 19th, you need to vote on this language
Tonight,
tonight.
we
Okay.
And Leslie sent an email with the language.
great.
Okay,
You have a question.
Yes. The ballot that you vote on is only gonna have yes or no.
correct.
Now, are you talking about sending out an informational piece of paper to Canton voters?
Yes,
Of
that's what
pros
I was
and
talking about.
cons,
That's what,
or-
or just a fact sheet about
Yeah.
everything that we've known so far about them.
Or just put it on the website. I'm
We
not
haven't figured
sure.
out that yet, but an information sheet for people who haven't been here to every meeting.
And that's coming from the select board? That fact sheet,
Um,
or from?
Yeah, it'd be coming from us. It wouldn't be coming from Veritas and it would be coming from the select board.
And so, there are some questions on
I
dollar
mean,
amounts that are there. The initial dollar amount is $350,000 they've offered us, but that number could change.
Piddly.
Well, out of $1 million
It's a third-
budget,
it's a
that's
third of the
that's a
budget.
third of our budget.
So, not sure I would say that.
Not for 40 years.
Pardon me?
Not for 40 years.
Oh.
Well, no, it's
that would
every
be
year,
every year.
every year
It
with a
wouldn't.
COLA attached to it.
It's still too low,
Okay.
way too low.
Okay,
Well, I'm just
So,
saying,
yeah. So we're gonna-
people have
yeah.
opinions on tax dollars and it's.
I think it just to be.
It's an interesting thought that I would say, when people come to us and say, my taxes are high, I'm just saying, here's a question for you. You can decide on yourself. Is your taxes too high? Whatever. So if they offer you, let's say, $500,000, I'm just speculating.
$2
I'm not,
million a year. for 40
excuse me, I'm
years.
talking, let me finish. And then if I offer $500,000 a year out of that budget, let's say you have $10,000 a year in taxes, and you're paying $2,000 to the town. So if it reduces your tax payment $1,000 a year, is that something you're gonna say, no, I don't want that?
And some people may not want it,
And
and some
some people
people
might
may
say,
want
I
it.
don't
And
want that.
so I think
I
the
understand that.
important part to this,
People that it's right for our money, or is
It's,
it the whole time?
with those are questions, we don't have the answers to those yet. I mean,
No, I believe it goes to the
it's,
whole
I think it
town,
goes to the town, because it's,
just like it
it's-
did at Green Mountain Power.
and I think that we are, again, we are still navigating this. We're trying to come up with the best decision for the town, which is why the town's position will be based on the voters, what the voters decide. Because otherwise, there's no way to make the right decision. But if we're basing our position on what the voters decide, then we are actually creating our statement based on what the town has told us.
I think it's great to
So-
have, pro and con.
So we're gonna put together, and I'm not definitely not pointing the finger at you, Maggie, having to put it together. I think I will be happy to sit down and, somebody can help me with graphics, otherwise it'll just be, in black and white, but, I'll be happy to sit down and work on that.
Yes,
So,
Sharon.
I have a couple of questions. One is, will we be able to submit pros and cons? And if they're already on your list, it's fine, you just throw it out. If it's not on the list, it's maybe a pro or con. Consider putting it on the list.
I think that my goal would be to put out just as a fact sheet, because people are gonna see facts, some people are gonna see them as pros, and some people are gonna see them as cons, and try to just list what we know to be factually true.
No, I'm sorry.
And therefore, it's not gonna be pros and cons. I hesitate, first of all, I don't think there's any way to get it together if we submit it in and have everybody just barrage us with information that, well, I think it has to be a very small group, and if it's gonna come from the select board, I think it has to come from the select board.
Right, well, it's gonna affect different people differently, so one person's gonna have an issue where another person might not have.
Which is why it's just gonna be a fact sheet and not a pros and cons list.
That was a question that would come up often. People are asking, what is the money gonna be used for? And, this is the first time I've ever heard of, even mentioning that maybe the taxes would be reduced, or.
That's a possibility.
That's a possibility.
Well, I know, but we would really need something more concrete to make the informed.
We're gonna give you all the information we have, and again, reminding you that none of these companies have come and presented to the select board with a specific
And
proposal.
the money might be necessarily reducing everyone's taxes, but it might be, the $500,000, we need a loader really bad, which is, and we need to purchase that. That's $300,000. So we purchase that. We're not getting a loan for $300,000, which is tax dollars from there. It isn't like individuals
not
or
sure.
Joan isn't getting money here, Fred's not getting money. No, it's going to
The general fund.
for the general fund for the expenses of the community.
I mean, I don't even know why this is a discussion, because the planning commission voted no on changing the town plan, and to me, that should be the end of it.
Well, the thing is
Well,
that
that
we
doesn't
don't.
how it works that way.
We don't, first of all, we are a separate board from the planning commission. The planning commission heard
They're appointed by-
can I finish, please? Thank you. They are a different board,
We
right?
don't tell them what to do.
They are an independent board. People have been asking the select board what our position is. We've been gathering information, and as a select board, we want to know what the town wants to do. It's not our decision because of how we feel about it. It's the town's decision, which is why we want to put it out for a vote.
Well, that's.
Okay.
Okay,
The town has a town plan.
Sharon, stop.
we're gonna stop right now. We're gonna move on. We do have public comment coming up, and we're just gonna move on. So we are gonna have we are gonna have we're gonna have a ballot or a survey question, non-binding referendum, whatever we want to call it. And we are going to vote on that language.
Do we
And
have the language with us now? Can we hear it, please?
Shall the town of Canton support development of the 50-megawatt Variety Solar Project proposed by Vermont Real Estate Holdings 3 LLC, doing business as Variety Solar, on land owned by Theodore Marzolkowski and Worstabell Farm LLP that is located outside the Canton Enhanced Energy Plant Preferred Energy Area? That would be a yes or a no.
Nothing's mentioned about 300 acres.
okay, it's,
That's the whole language.
That's our language.
but it's asking about the proposal, and the proposal is for the 300 acres. So that's what they're talking about, is the proposal. Well, that's where the fact sheets are gonna come in. That's why I would like to put together a copy of the map, fact sheet, and so that everybody has an opportunity to see and get the information that most of us have gotten because we've been here.
Okay. That isn't read the state. Do you
I
have
will
any
make it-
questions?
I
Do you
do
have any
not.
questions on it? Maggie, do you understand? We're all good on this?
Yeah.
I'm good on this?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I will make a motion to accept the language for our non-binding referendum survey question for election day,
Number 5.
November 5th.
I will second that. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay,
Okay.
cool. Okay, number 9, contracted lister.
I think it came up at the last meeting, but it may not have. The contracted lister does not make enough money to spend his time working for the town of Canton.
Yes.
Okay,
I have spoken to the LCT. The town has 2 choices. They can hire a state-approved assessor to fill the lister position, and if one can be found, it's available. Or you can rescind the vote that got rid of elected listers, and we can go back to elected listers. You might note that we had no candidates for elected listers the last time that office was available.
Yes. And it takes 3 years for someone to actually know what they're doing as a lister.
right. Okay,
Well, it's an obvious thing that we have to do. Questions, comments, concerns?
no, but do we have to vote on that today?
There's what's to vote on.
Okay.
You need to find a lister.
Okay, okay, but I thought I meant is whether, do we
Yeah,
have to, we just as a group have to decide we want to go back to elected listers, or,
Right.
which I
Well,
don't think we're gonna do.
I
Okay.
have no interest in going back to
Yeah.
elected.
Me either.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just need to hire a new lister. We gotta figure that out, so that's gonna be a VLCT question as well.
Okay,
Okay. Water
Move-
district.
moving on to Virgins Pattern Water District. Minnie Perry has resigned his position and moved to Virgins. So we have an opening on that. And so we will make a notice for an opportunity to be on the Virgins Pattern Water Board, and that
For
it
town
would
meeting
be
day.
the approval of the select board, and then that position will carry from henceforth after the select board's approval to the town meeting day, correct? Maggie?
We filled
The
the
notice
position.
of vacancy has been posted around.
Okay,
I don't know what else you might want.
okay.
Okay, moving on to the audit.
Talon Hillman has come back and told us that they can come to perform the audit in late December or early January. I responded to that with, we have a February 14th publication date for the town annual report, and asked if they felt with as much cooperation and assistance as we could give them, including the contractor accounting person, if they would be able to meet that deadline. I have not had a response.
Okay. Wow,
And we've been with them for a while.
that's very disappointing.
That is extremely disappointing.
Just the financial report is the only thing statutorily required in the town annual report.
I understand that.
Okay,
And the question is, we go out and look for a new accountant at this 11th hour.
oh. That's really
So
awful.
I guess if that's okay with you, I'll have a conversation with Maggie when she gets back, and we can,
With,
you're still here?
I leave on vacation on the 22nd.
Okay, on the 22nd, all right. Okay, so I'll have a conversation with her and see what we can do about if we should go out and look for another accountant,
Yeah.
and then report back
okay,
to our next meeting. It's just like, before we agree to do
Yeah.
this with them. Great. One more thing. Okay. Setting the tax rate and tax billing and mailing.
So
Yes, ma'am.
So I would put this off at this point,
Mhm.
because I'd like to go back to the town report that Melissa brought up
Okay,
and study the numbers, because I totally understood what she said about it being voted multiple times, but I also feel like we weren't really. I paid a lot of attention to that budget, and I tried to make very sure that what we needed versus what we were getting
Right.
versus their separate and then rolled up.
Right,
And I thought that 1.039 was the rolled up and included it all. So even though they're voted separately, they're not multiplied in that number, or they're not missed in that number. So I can't do that without having time to look at that report.
do you wanna set up a time and I can sit down and we can pound it? I mean, I'm happy to come in and help and just have a second set of eyes on it. 'Cause I know for me, when I'm struggling with a number, having somebody else look at it helps me.
I have certainly hoped that tomorrow, while I'm here for 12 hours, that I will be able to print and get the tax bills mailed. It happened now, apparently, and we
No,
can't send
it's
it.
not. Okay,
All
I
right.
will check, I'll touch base with you at the end of the meeting and try to come up with a date where I can come in and we can sit down and grind it out, okay?
Your hours, the town's office, from the 22nd to the 27th of August.
I will be here the 19th, 20th, and 21st. And then, I think town hall's gonna be closed Thursday, Friday, and Dawn will be in Monday morning,
Okay.
and Tuesday morning.
Okay.
Or Monday afternoon and Tuesday, but I'll close it,
Okay.
she'll probably work 5 hours, 4 hours both of those days, and I'll be back the 28th.
Okay.
All right. All right, let us move on to public comment now. Yes, Diane.
Wanted to thank you for the research that she did. And to stress that I'm not hearing any solution within our town. I think what's important to me is to know the procedures that you follow and that you as the select board get timely and accurate information first. Budget to actually balance sheet is what we used to present to you. For those of you that don't know, I'm following this as treasurer. And every month you got budget to actual and balance sheet. And we over it, all of those were reviewed before the warrant was signed. And I just want to stress that it was really important that you raise those procedures.
Thank you.
Yes, Sharon.
So, I just have this to say before I got cut off earlier.
No, you were out of motion, so, but go ahead.
Okay.
This is from the VLCT on municipal planning about the town plan. And it is a statement of policy that will guide municipal decision making with regard to many elements, including transportation, land use, utility infrastructure, energy, housing, and conservation. It will aid the private sector as a predictor of how local government will act. So we should be able to depend on our town plan as it is written, unless someone has presented in writing something that they wanted to have, somehow wanted to have an amendment. And then there's like this huge process that it has to go through for that to actually happen. Like public hearings and everything. And that was another one of my questions is in November 2019, when we voted on the enhanced energy plan, they voted to adopt this enhanced energy plan. They did have a public hearing, which nobody came to. But they also said that they were notifying neighboring towns by letter. And I'm wondering if those letters exist somewhere and where they would be. Would they be here or would they be down at Access County Regional Planning? And then one more question, real quick, is I've gotten some emails from people. It's that question of people that own property here and pay taxes, but their primary residence is somewhere else.
Mhm.
And they want their opinion and voice to be known on this matter, the solar proposal. So I need to get back to them and tell them how that is going to be handled. Because
Well,
they can't vote. They're not
So,
on the
yeah,
vote.
so thank you for that. From what was said before was that the butters will have significant input and then there will be time for all other property owners and that's after the official proposal is made, which hasn't happened yet. It's the start of that 45-day period.
Yeah.
That's when that would happen.
Then that's not the same. The 45-day thing is just a notice that they give to the PUC that are planning to go through the Act 248 process. So that's all the 45 days means. It means that 3 point is giving notice to the Public Utilities Commission that they intend to file this application and go through the however many years long process it takes to get an Act 248 permit. Okay, that's what the 45 days is. These people are talking about this specific vote that's coming up in November. They would like their somehow maybe can they write a letter, even though they can't vote, but they can make their concerns known. They are, I mean, they pay more property taxes in here next to Worsville.
Well, I would say this, Sharon, I appreciate your thing, but the Boswells aren't registered voters either, so
Yes, I
they.
know that.
So I
Just
think
let
that,
me, just let me speak here, and I'm just saying, our democracy says you can only vote in one place, and you can only have one say in one place. We have given you the option of deciding your fate here, and I'm sorry that you live in Florida, Kentucky, Louisiana, California. I'm sorry, but I have no choices in those places either, so.
unfortunately, there's really no way, they can write letters to the town if they want. I don't know how that would impact on November 5th.
Well, Alex Markowski wrote a letter, and that's apparently impacting how, I asked about, we were told that there were some positive people that were for it, and I came down to get the letters because they said at one meeting that they were public.
That's not voting, Sheila.
I know that.
Okay.
I
Well,
came
good,
down
then-
to get the letters, there were 2 letters. One of them was from Alex and the other one was from Betty over on 23. That's all there was.
Okay,
I was
but-
expecting 10 letters.
So if there are people who want to write a letter to the town, that is fine. They're welcome to do that. But in terms of, as we've moved through this process and we have learned more and more about it, sure, we got that information from the Marzikowskis. We've had a tremendous amount of more information since then. And so the decision we've come to is to have the town vote on it, right? If people aren't voting resident because it's not their permanent, there's nothing we can do about that. Regardless, they can send letters, but it's not gonna impact the vote.
And what is significant about this, Sharon, about this whole thing, it's tax dollars. So if people decide they want to vote yes on the solar panel, they're determining if they want their taxes to be lower or higher. What it really comes down to. Excuse me, I'm talking, Sharon, please. I let you speak when I'm just finishing here. But they can't vote on tax issues, even though they live wherever they live outside the town of Pam. They can't vote on taxes if we're raising them or lowering them. They can't vote on the select board members. They can't vote on the budget. So why would they be given an option on the solar bill? Because so that has nothing to do with that. On November 5th, I'm just saying, the people who are the residents of the town of Patton will have their voices heard one way or the other on how to vote it. If you don't live in the community and you're not registered to vote here, I'm sorry.
And that
that's
doesn't
the way
mean
it
they don't
goes.
have a voice. Like, again, after this whole thing is underway and the Public Utilities Commission creates that platform for town residents in one, I'm gonna call it a chat room for lack of a better term, right? Town residents, and then the people who are landowners who abut the property, who would abut the solar system, right? They're gonna have 2 places. That would be, I think, a much more powerful place to have your voice heard. I mean, people can certainly send it to us. We are gonna have a position from the town based on what the town tells us. But the Public Utilities Commission, if they decide to do this project, it doesn't matter what we say, it doesn't matter what our zonings are, they can override us. That is just the fact of it.
Right, I realize that.
So if I would suggest, if you have people who really want to make their voice heard, that's the platform, is where it's gonna have the most impact, is again, with the Public Utilities Commission. That's where it's gonna have the most impact.
Or write their state rep or their state senator or the governor and have the position heard that way.
Yeah,
But-
They may do all of those things.
great,
And that's great.
That's
but
awesome.
They won't be allowed to vote when their vote,
understand that. I wasn't asking for them to get out.
I guess, so the question is then, is what, because I don't understand. So if they're writing letters, the intent of that would be for what? And who is it going to? Is it coming to, if people are writing letters, are they coming to the select board?
Well, yeah.
Okay, so they're welcome to write the select board letters. That doesn't change how we're gonna do this vote to decide what the town wants to do.
so if we get 10,
You're misunderstanding what I'm saying.
Okay,
What I'm saying is because they can't vote, is there some accommodation that is made for these people so that they can make their voice heard?
Sure,
about how
they-
they feel about this?
100%.
What is the best vehicle for them to do that?
they can certainly write the select board, and if we wanted to create a folder for all the people who want to send something to public utilities, we can do that. But at this point, those letters aren't gonna impact how we're making this decision, but they're welcome to send us letters.
and if the vote goes the other way, the way you probably don't want it to go, and the citizens apparently say, yes, we want the solar field, it's like, that's the way it cuts. you know?
We just feel like we need to the best,
PUC will approve it.
it doesn't, of course not.
They might not be able to prove it's for the public good. They
Absolutely.
might do that before, and they're not able to do
We're
it.
not
And
arguing,
that's
we're
the
not
thing,
arguing
it's,
that.
we're just saying that whatever the position is that the select board comes up with is gonna be based solely on the vote, full stop. It may have zero impact with the Public Utilities Commission, it may have a lot of impact, we don't know.
No.
And if, no matter what the PUC decides, if they, whatever their decision is, they can steamroll over our zoning. That's just the reality
Or they
is,
can
and
take the
so,
decision
or
to
they can,
the Supreme Court.
right, so they have, I mean, they have a lot more power and a lot more money than we
The
do,
pockets
and
go to
so
the
we're
floor.
just gonna have to, hope, hope that the decision goes the way that you want it to go, and we are going to put together the position of the town based on the vote.
And let the people decide.
Yeah.
I find it kind of curious that, neither landowner out there is a voting resident of Canton. Neither one.
It doesn't,
They're giving, you're giving them precedence over people that live here every day of their life. And
We're not giving
We don't have
anybody's
anything.
precedence. We're
No.
not giving anybody precedence. We're not saying that they have more rights than anybody else.
did anybody in the
We
select
have-
board say we were
we
for
have-
it or against it?
We have been
We've been very
trying,
neutral.
they want to put this on their property. There's a big, long navigation process to get there. It honestly doesn't even go through the select board.
No.
But because there's been a lot of community concern, we're gonna create a position. But we don't have to say anything about it. It doesn't actually have anything to do with the select board. We have,
We usually write a recommendation to the.
which is why we're having the vote. That's exactly why we're having the vote. Good.
Yes.
I'd like to know if the report that, Melissa gave is in writing and available to you as a select board, and also to the public to be put into the minutes, written minutes
Okay.
of the meeting.
Okay, Melissa, can you provide us your report? Can you email it to us?
Or do you want to?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
She's,
My concern is that she's made some recommendations. You do not have those in front of you, so you can say, we've addressed this one, we've addressed that one, we have to address this one. That's my concern from listening to her report,
Okay.
is that you have some sort of way of going down through her list of things to be done.
We
well,
certainly
other than the
appreciate
minutes
that, yeah.
Ms. McCormick has taken.
I tried to capture a lot of it, but I definitely didn't.
And if we have questions, we can ask her specifically of, maybe even if we just get the list in writing, and that would be great. And so I do appreciate that suggestion.
Any more for public comment? Okay, thank you. None? Great.
So, Communications?
Let us try to communicate.
I was sending the new assistant clerk to the VMCCA conference in September. It's in Montpelier. There's education documentation budget money. I will not be attending. I've done it two years running at least. And then Jackman sent their annual budget
Pre-buy
for, this
thing.
is, the LPNG, right, that's now heating the radiant heat.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to go ahead and pre-buy and give them all the money now? Do you want to pre-buy and make payments?
I
Or
think-
not pre-buy it?
I think we pre-buy and make payments.
I believe you are correct.
That is our usual procedure. So,
So they said that July 1st and June 30th last year was 1,670 gallons. The year before was 1,481. So we might want to decide, do you want 1,700 gallons at prepay? Do you want 1,500 gallons at prepay?
I'm hoping our new radiant system that was put in last year will really
Decrease
make a
that, yeah,
difference.
Me too. Well, so I can't
So the
remember when
question-
it
can
went
I see?
online. I think it was,
Last year, or whatever.
well, it was last year, I just can't remember. I finally looked it up.
Does that include our pre-buy for the town office too?
We're not using propane here at the town office,
Well-
where it's all the heat.
I mean, what, I'm talking about the furnace.
No.
Really?
Fantastic.
We need to have it clean, but yeah,
That's
there's some
fantastic.
that take, we don't pre-buy. We have to pre-buy, because we have.
Guess we'll call mine. Just about.
I think we do.
Yes, how can I help you?
You don't get bids for your,
We've been using Jackman's for a while and we
and
think
they're the cheapest.
The answer is no, we don't get bids.
bids, we have not done that.
Okay.
I don't know, I think that if we did 1670, 1481, it seems like 1,500 would be a good amount to, well, it comes somewhere in between, and if the radiant heat works, then. So we'll do 1,500 and make payments.
Thank you.
I have nothing else.
Okay, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay,
Oh, yes,
Right,
I am meeting with the, two ER doctors on Wednesday at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll talk to them about our friends at bars. So we have.
if you have
9
questions, make sure you text me, I'll be available, but I can't come to the meeting.
Yeah, well, actually, it's kind of closed, and I just said the three of us would meet and have
Okay, perfect.
conversations. And,
Even better.
so it's just basically conversations about performance and also some other things. So I'm sending some of the questions over to our friends at Ferrisburg, Virgins, Addison, and also Waltham.
Okay.
And as knows that Waltham has decided to pay bars over their vote, Ron was overridden on that, so they will be paying them. So that's what's going on with that, and then I'm going to try to set up a meeting after that conversation with those two ER doctors to have our gang of five meet and discuss more bar stuff with just our committee of five.
Again, if you can, put it on a Wednesday, I might actually be able to
I'll
get there.
do as best I can
Okay.
to arrange this. Anything else communicating? Okay, let us move on to review and approve accounts payables, warrants, time sheets, and for payroll.
So the first time that Melissa brought up that the invoices didn't come up, they've been coming up every time since then for review, which made complete sense to me.
Okay.
And in your folders are whole FY 24 end of year budget reports
Okay.
that when I export to Excel and add columns, looks like we had, look at it.
This one?
$29,000, and it wasn't
This
a
guy?
deficit, but that goes back to perhaps what I have been unable to learn about how network reports stuff,
Okay,
or how it
I will,
affects it. Yeah, 79,000 in the red, according to that, it doesn't really.
I will,
There's also current year-to-date budget with revenues and expenditure.
okay, I'll take these to school with me tomorrow.
And
We
so,
believe that's called public safety.
Yeah. Okay, you want to give me something there to do?
I am going to give you something to do.
Excellent.
You can look at those, all these illustrious bills. I will
here's
look at,
the payroll, the amount of that is $7,788.17. And if I remember correctly, I'll look at it and say that out loud before we get there, but the AP is about $55,000.
Okay.
This week, it's 2 weeks.
Number two.
36,000 and change that has been paid towards storm recovery efforts.
Yeah.
thus far.
And if you see Rick and Jeff Stone, tell them thank you for clearing out the tree and moving the curb stop to cover the septic caps. I asked them to do that the other day and they accomplished that. I'm just concerned about upcoming voters coming there and driving onto our septic caps and falling into there with their tires and incurring another bill.
That's the neighbors across the street.
Are they gonna party on Monday?
It could be.
No, it's right at that house.
Yeah, no, it's, very often I'm in my office, and
So
we're closed, one
he's-
reason why I haven't said it.
Yeah.
It's not a problem with me, but who would enforce that?
Um, That's the last outlaw's house.
That's the what?
They call him the last outlaw. He works for Claudia Allen.
That's reminding me of my teen years, you know? But we didn't do it on Mondays. Can I have a question about culverts?
Sure. They're very exciting, aren't they?
Well, I'm gonna build one, but why is it my responsibility? They raised it 22A, so now the water's like a river. Is that all my responsibility or? do I try-
I would call the state.
I would call the state, and because on 22A, the state's right away is huge. Ours is at the biggest area, because we
It's on our
have,
driveway.
well, I understand, but I think the rod on there, get me wrong, I might be wrong, it's 20 rods. So that means it's 10 rods from the center of the road going that way. And 10 rods is, a rod is longer than
Is it a
three,
yard?
it's longer than a yard by about 5 or 6
It's a rod.
inches, is that?
So where my culvert is, they own it.
It's theirs.
Then
So
it's
is
theirs,
Well,
yeah.
it's not theirs, they could do whatever they want there.
So I should call the state?
Yeah.
I would just say that and that, yes, and I would probably call District 5, I believe that's it, the one in Bristol.
Bristol, okay.
Those are the people you should really talk to, and I would call them locally.
That's the New Haven? The
New Haven,
The
yeah.
New Haven, the
The
New
New-
Haven garage.
Yeah,
right
you know
on
what I'm
17.
talking about, just down the block from Dunkin'
Yeah.
Donuts.
Yeah.
Yep,
Those are the people there, and I would talk to them and say, they,
You have their number? You said
It's in the phone book.
it's in the phone book.
Is the state.
District 5, D-Trans,
Yeah,
District 5
D-Tran,
office.
I have someone coming and going, so this is not my responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, well, especially with the crown of the road and everything like that,
well,
it
they
just,
raised it. you know?
Yeah.
I wasn't here for 42 years. Was it Gavin told me they raised it, and they said they
they raise the road, so.
Well, every time they tire, they raise the road.
No, I'm not.
I don't know why they don't grind it, but, I'm,
It's been raised.
pardon me?
The accounts payable warrant was not in this folder. Did you sign it?
It was on the front,
Oh,
is it, front or?
Oh, wait.
Maybe I have that.
nope, it's not. That's.
It was, okay. It was. Did I,
Did
Did I take it off?
I think he took it off and passed it to you, but you may have put other papers on top of it.
I haven't.
that's,
This is all stuff that was
payroll.
in my folder. This is all stuff that was in my folder. This is all stuff that I brought with me that I should not put in my folder.
Hold
Obviously, I have
it,
too
hold
much.
it, hold it.
Oh, see was hiding it. That's it. I'm gonna get yelled at. I'm starting school soon. You need to be nice to me.
Okay.
I haven't signed that one yet. Yeah. I'm kind of
Final
done with these
appraisal.
storms. They're really just freaking havoc.
Almost $12,000 for raises now. Yeah. Let's hope we get that. FEMA money.
Is there a deadline that tax bills have to be mailed out?
Pardon me?
Is there a deadline that tax bills have to be mailed out?
I believe that it is either 30 or 45 days before the first payment is due. Before me, my understanding is they went out in September. I got them out early because of August elections in the past.
It used to go out a few days. Because that was a topic every day. To get your tax bill.
They can't go out to September.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, that's done.
So that was 50.
you gonna need this? Yeah, we should probably talk
Okay, so I'm
about
gonna
that.
make a motion.
55,370, 68,
$1,370.68. I make a motion to approve that amount and the 7,788 and change,
Change.
17 for the payroll.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you. All right,
So,
that ends our regular meeting.
Yeah.
Regular meeting, we're going to move into executive session to talk about personnel manual. Melissa, do you have anything else for us?
okay,
In
thank you
executive
so
session?
much.
In the executive session, no?
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
everybody for coming. Thank you for coming, we're all set. Oh, you don't have anything? No. We're all set on this. No. Back on the record,
Yeah, it is 7:15, the select board is back in open meeting.
on the record, no action was taken in executive session.
I make a motion to adjourn at 7:15.
I second that. All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Okay, so I put that on my VLCT, so I'll call Leslie Cadwell. I'll call Leslie Cadwell this week. I'm gonna call or email somebody at VLCT this week. I have to